laughing so hard. The idea that you didn't support John McCain. Some people think you turned your back on him. You supported Barack Obama. There is a visceral reaction among some Republicans in the state who think that you are a sellout. Rhino would be the freshman JV term, but just a sellout. And this whole notion, this goody two-shoes act that you put on, belies the idea that you're a cunning, strategic, manipulative pol who will do anything to get elected.
Well, first of all, let's go back to the John McCain situation. When he came on my behalf, he stood up at a large lunch group on my behalf, and in his comments talked about more troops needed in Iraq. This is when my whole campaign was based in opposition to the war in Iraq. And my opponent, Sheldon Whitehouse, used those comments against me in a debate. Link Chafee, you stood shoulder to shoulder with John McCain while he called for more troops in Iraq. And Sheldon Whitehouse used those words over again. You stood shoulder to shoulder with John McCain. He called for more troops in Iraq. That day, the next day, we went to meet with a large group of environmentalists at the Save the Bay headquarters. There they were all gathered, and a lot of them, their votes were hanging in the balance. Yes, they wanted to vote with Whitehouse and check the Bush agenda and that whole argument, but they appreciated my stand, my strong stand on environmental votes over my 6 years in the Senate. And John McCain, in his remarks, talked about more nuclear power. We need more nuclear power in this country. And I could see me losing all those environmental votes right in front of my eyes. And I said to myself, John McCain's coming here for John McCain's 2008 presidential campaign. And that's the way I felt. And so you talk about cold, calculating political opportunism. That's the way I felt at the time. And then I will say, Dan, let me just finish. Let me finish.
Is that what you're saying? You thought he used you?
At that time, it certainly wasn't helpful, as I just outlined. Those words were used against me. You stood shoulder to shoulder when he called for more troops. And then the environmentalists calling for more nuclear power with that group was not helpful. And then when I lost the election, disaffiliated, became an independent, decided to support Obama in the primaries, and somebody told me the day that I was scheduled to announce my support for Senator Obama for president that John McCain was going to be in Rhode Island. And I said, well, I'm certainly not going to make this announcement the day Senator McCain is here. I just wouldn't do that. And so I looked in the paper and I went cover to cover in the paper, and I did not see one mention of John McCain coming to Rhode Island. So I went ahead with the announcement. It turned out he did come, and I do feel badly about that. That's not the type of person I am.
Did you apologize to him?
I haven't had the chance, but I would.
What, the phones don't work and the mail doesn't send, or what?
Okay, I'm guilty.
I had early proffered that I think that, months ago at least, that a vote for John Robitaille would be a vote for Link Chafee, in that the constituencies are, at least seemingly, more common between Frank Caprio and John Robitaille. Robitaille seems to be getting to or passing his high water mark for a Republican. He would suggest it's going to sprint him right past both Frank and you. Tell me what your analysis is of these numbers and where you think your foundational strength is in this race. Where is it? And give me an analysis.
One thing about John Robitaille and that sets him apart from Frank Caprio, and Frank Caprio went to meet with the Republican National Committee, and now he has said some unkind words about the Democratic president. So I think Rhode Islanders don't know where he is. With John Robitaille, they know where he is. He's a Kacheri, Bush Republican. And I personally don't think that that's what Rhode Islanders want as their next governor.
No, but there's a goodly amount of folks, in the 35% of the electorate who probably do, and that is where the skinny is in this race. Don't you agree?
Yeah, 35.
You've paid very little attention to John Robitaille. Will you, 8 days from now, I wonder, rue that? Because he could come around this third turn and the fourth and head for home here on this straight. You and Frank Caprio, without the shove it saga, more or less, I think, have dumbed down this electorate with a battle that leaves them wanting. That's what I hear all over the state. I'm so sick of Chafee and Caprio kicking the crap out of each other. Robitaille is trying to make do with that. Your take?
Well, you said dumb down, and that's an accusation that is not fair in the case that I have said over and over again what I'll do to address our deficit to my hundreds of thousands of dollars being spent against me in that proposal on 1% sales tax on exempt items. So I've been specific through the course of the campaign to my own hazard. And you brought up Mr. Robitaille. It just... I think the Rhode Island voters are more sophisticated than to say we're going to continue to cut taxes and how, without any addressing of where specifically spending cuts are going to be made. And most recently, a press conference where veterans don't have to pay their income tax, another $20 million on the deficit, without the courage to say, and here's how I'm going to offset it. I think the voters are smarter, and that's what I've said through the course of the campaign. They're smart. In these tough times, they're listening carefully to what people are saying.
When you take a look at the paperwork and you see that any reasonable person could digest that there was no overlap between the payroll data and the unemployment checks that J.R. Pagliarini was getting versus the start date of January 4th of this year on the campaign salary, and you realize that this is a swing and a miss, why in God's name did you take his resignation? Where was the integrity in that?
Well, despite what you just outlaid, sometimes in campaigns, even if the truth is as concrete as you just laid it out, the media gets a hold of an issue and won't let it go for a long cycle. And just as we heard in the audio, JR, decided, let me step aside. And that's what he did.
Well, I had said then, and I'll say now to you, Senator, with all due respect, if it's Dan Yorke and my guy didn't do anything wrong, let the media be damned. I'll stand up and say, he's my guy. I didn't do anything. He didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. And I don't know who pulled this stunt, but no one's going to run my team out. What kind of leader are you to let a guy who would go through a wall, smash his head through a wall for you, go like that? What kind of leader do we expect you to be as governor if you're going to let that kind of thing happen?
Well, we all talked it over and decided this was in the best interest of the ultimate goal. And that is, as JR said, job creation, ending corruption and cronyism, bringing people together for the betterment of Rhode Island.
Yeah, but wait a second. If I recall, the timing was that you were sitting in here with John DePietro, as a matter of fact, when this story was breaking and percolating. And if we look at the timing, JR had actually had conversations with others in your office about this. So you come home to the office. In fact, you had an 11:30 press conference that was canceled based on this crisis that you had in front of you. Did you walk in and say, all right, everybody, I'm the boss here. Calm down. JR, what the hell happened? All right, so the paperwork meshes. There's nothing wrong here. Screw it. We'll call a press conference. We'll cry foul. You're my guy. Let's go. It'll be 24 hours one way or the other. We'll man up. It didn't seem like you manned up.
Well, this is all internal political discussions that happened in the course of a long, hard-fought campaign, microwave period, or whatever JR called it, which is accurate as you get really intense in the final weeks. And that was the decision we made. I have a long track record of loyalty to my friends, and I'll stand by this.
What does loyalty mean? People wonder, boy, the guy was on unemployment, and then he ended up being on the payroll. Are you taking care of him anyway? Are you paying him even though he's not active?
We'll see how this all works out. The main thing is to get elected, and that's what JR is interested in, and that's why he did what he did.
He's getting no compensation from you now.
I believe he still is. I believe there's still a period of paychecks.
Severance?
Yes. But I'm not sure, to be honest.
I
believe that's happening.
Why would you not be sure about something like that?
We got a week to go in a hard-fought campaign for governor.
Wait a second. It makes people think you're a disengaged CEO, that you wouldn't know the nuanced details of that. It may go right to some of these ideas that you didn't. You trusted two different treasurers during the term of a Senate campaign that had 5 years of errors in taxes and the like. You give this impression that you're some aloof individual who's not detail oriented. We've got a budget here of $7 billion that requires a hell of administrative detail.
Some people call me aloof and detached. Others call me a micromanager. I'll just stand on my record of leading the second largest city of Warwick when I came in 1993. Unemployment was 10%, not that far behind what we have today. I had a terrible teacher dispute. I worked with everybody in the city to bring back the economy and was reelected 3 times, the last time winning an election with every ward and district in the city. So I know how to run an organization. I know how to run it well by virtue of those facts.
With all due respect, in the middle of a campaign, when you had a crisis like this, for you not to know the exact status of JR, it's not like you're running American Cyanamid here. I mean, you got a handful of people that are working for you. It doesn't show that you've got much attention to detail. Let me ask you one more question about this. Is he hireable should you win the governor's race? Will he be on your staff?
We'll make those decisions. The main thing is to win the election.
I'm asking whether or not
I've been asked this about Deborah Gist. I've been asked it about the EDC director.
Sorry that you're fatigued.
No, it's not a matter of being fatigued. I want to win the election.
I'm sorry that I'm wearing you down here.
Not at all. But I'm not fatigued at all. I know where the finish line is.
As the movie line goes, I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. I want the truth.
I'm good at telling the truth.
If a guy
maybe too good.
If a guy who's been loyal and talented working on your behalf falls on the sword, as he says, as crazy as that was, which only accelerated the story, seemingly, is he, because he is without foul, hireable again? Yes or no?
I'm going to address these issues on, if I win, on all hires at that time.
Well, it leads me to wonder then, one more question. Was there something else going on in the campaign that caused him to leave, or was this story the exclusive reason for it?
No, I'm focused on November 2nd.
That's not
and JR and I continued to be friends.
I'm glad you're friends. Was there a competency issue, or was it exclusively the story? That's what I'd like to know.
No, there's no competency issue, that's for sure.
So if he's competent and he was screwed by a story that absolutely missed the mark and he fell on a sword to minimize damage, I'm asking, is he going to be a member of your... most people are thinking, then why wouldn't he be a member of your staff should you be elected governor? So are you suggesting that this is still something you've got to measure? That people are confused by that.
On a previous appearance here in your show, you accused me of being Rain Man, and maybe I'm going to be Rain Man again. I'm focused on winning the election on November 2nd.